On behalf of Chief Bryan and his leadership team, we thank you for joining us today for what we believe is a major step in the right direction to curb youth violence in Columbus. As your first assistant chief, I oversee the Special Services Branch that houses Special Operations Bureau, which was instrumental in the work that they do, which led us here. Today's 284 count RICO indictment sends a clear and unmistakable message. Lawlessness will not be tolerated in our community. This investigation and indictment are the direct result of the relentless work, dedication, and collaboration of our Organized Crime Bureau, Gang Enforcement Unit, and Next Gen officers who work tirelessly to identify and target the most prolific and violent offenders impacting our neighborhoods. This operation was not random. It was intentional, strategic, and driven by data. We are using intelligence, analytics, technology, and community information to focus our efforts on the individuals and organizations responsible for driving violence, trafficking, criminal activity in our city. We will continue to use every tool at our disposal to dismantle criminal enterprises that threaten the safety and well-being of our residents. Let me also be very clear. Accountability does not stop with those pulling the trigger or committing crimes directly. If we can prove that parents, guardians, or adults are benefiting from, enabling, or contributing to criminal activity, we will hold them accountable as well. No one is above the law, and no one will be allowed to profit from the destruction of our communities. To the juveniles, young adults, and adults involved in this behavior, you do have a choice. There is still an opportunity to change courses, to choose a different path, and to become productive members of this community. But if you continue to make the wrong choice, we will make that choice for you through enforcement and successful prosecution. I want to sincerely thank the prosecutor's office for their partnership, commitment, and extensive work in helping to bring this complex case forward. These investigations require enormous coordination, preparation, and dedication, and we are grateful for their support. Most importantly, I want to thank the community. Your voices have been loud, clear, and consistent. You have demanded safer neighborhoods, accountability, and action, and we hear you. This work is ultimately about protecting families, restoring peace to our neighborhoods, and ensuring that law-abiding residents can live without fear. This indictment is only one step, but it is an important one. We will continue to pursue those who terrorize our communities, and we will continue working every day to make this city safe for everyone. I would like to now introduce Commander Tyler Wells.
Good afternoon, everyone. Like Chief said, I'm Commander Tyler Wells over the Organized Crime Bureau, and I want to thank everyone for attending today's press conference. Today we are announcing the indictment of 10 juvenile co-defendants, as well as the conviction and sentencing of one adult co-defendant, Tanisha Jenkins. The Columbus Police Gang Enforcement Unit A, in partnership with Columbus Police Next Gen Safety Initiative and the Columbus Police Property Crime Bureau, conducted a joint coordinated investigation into a group of juveniles who were engaged in organized criminal activity throughout Columbus and Central Ohio. The identified organized group of juveniles was involved in offenses including motor vehicle theft, felony theft, theft of firearms, trafficking of firearms, robbery, and aggravated robbery. Through numerous investigative measures, detectives learned that between February and November of 2025, this group committed the same crimes on a daily basis. This group targeted locations across the city, resulting in the following statistics: 551 total victims, 34 stolen vehicles, 76 stolen credit cards, 42 stolen firearms, approximately 18,000 in stolen U.S. currency, and approximately 500,980 stolen merchandises ranging from clothes, shoes, computers, tablets, and firearms. The estimated reported damage is exceeded over $200,000. Victims in this case were not only residents of Columbus, but they were visitors who were here in our city to conduct business or leisure. The first reference we're going to make here is to the chart behind me. This chart shows all the locations across the city and maybe answers one of your questions why we're standing here today at this hotel. This hotel was one of the locations where this group targeted on a regular basis, and the victims were staying at this hotel quite a bit, so we thank them for having us here and hopefully getting a little reprieve for them today. So through our investigation, the Gang Enforcement Unit A conducted 6 residential search warrants. They recovered the following property from those search warrants: 37 firearms, 17 which were reported stolen, 7 machine gun conversion devices, 65 stolen credit cards, 25 vehicle key fobs, and 4 Alltel vehicle programmers. Based on months of investigative work and substantial evidence collected, these detectives confirmed this group's involvement in organized crime, and they assembled a case with over 284 felony charges. The juveniles charges included engaging in a pattern of corrupt activity. They were all submitted to the Franklin County Juvenile Court last week. As you can see here on the second slide here, these show the results from Gang Enforcement A's search warrants. And you can see the numerous firearms that were recovered. So I want to highlight why this case is significant. First, to our knowledge, this is the first juvenile case of its kind in Franklin County or in the state of Ohio that we are aware of. It demonstrates our department's commitment to identifying those individuals who contribute to crime in the city of Columbus, and it shows that we are serious about solving these cases and employing the full force of the law behind them. It also demonstrates that our strategies are actually working, which is evident in our reduction in violent crime. And the message should be sent out there that we are not finished, that this is only the beginning. It's also important to note that this group of juveniles was not simply some young people making mistakes. They were already very well versed in the criminal justice system and had repeatedly demonstrated a disregard for all previous consequences given to them. Each one of these juvenile co-defendants, as you see here on this slide, were scored solely based on data-driven intelligence. The scores you see attached are silhouettes representing their rank among the most active juveniles in the city of Columbus based on their criminality. This group of juveniles has been convicted of 37 cumulative felony cases, 35 of which of those resulted in either probation, restitution, or even a simple letter of apology. We are asking our partners in the criminal justice system today to do their part. And as you can see here, there's the slides of the 10 juvenile co-defendants that are being indicted out of this case. Lastly, we'd like to announce the adult co-defendant, Tanisha Jenkins, received a 25-count indictment for her role in this criminal enterprise. Ms. Jenkins was recently sentenced to 11 years in prison. Ms. Jenkins was not only the mother of 2 of our co-defendants, the aunt of another, but she was an active participant in the criminal activities in this criminal enterprise. This should also serve as a clear message, as the chief said, that adults and parents facilitating this kind of behavior or partaking in this kind of behavior, it will not be tolerated and there's consequences. I'm proud of the work that all the detectives and officers put together in this case, and they really showed a true commitment to addressing and solving violent crime in the city of Columbus. Thank you.
And we'll open it up for any questions.
Were they all working together, or these different groups at different times?
Thanks for your question, Sergeant Gruber, Gang Enforcement A. I'll do my best to answer all the questions you guys have. Just understand that these are mostly juveniles, and this is also all juvenile charges. So that'll dictate what I can and can't say some things. But if your question was, were there multiple groups acting in coordination as this one were? This was the only sophisticated group we found acting as a true criminal enterprise in a pattern of corrupt activity on a daily basis. And again, with the data-driven program, it shows. Anytime their name came up as suspects in different things, they were perpetuating the large majority of some of these crimes. And I'll even point to how this map might look outstanding as like, wow, it was the entire city. There's a tremendous amount of victims that were targeted. Those only are the ones that we could establish probable cause on. So just you pick one day out of the last 2 years, and there's 150 victims that night with the same MO, but we may only have probable cause to charge 2 of those. So that's what you can see behind me.
Sergeant Gruber, I think if you turn on the TV in Columbus any day in the last 2 years, you'll see a story about car break-ins. How much is this group responsible for?
Again, from our investigation, a very large portion of it. They were sophisticated. They organized every night. who was going to look out for the police helicopter, who was going to bring the Altel programmers, who was going to drive the fast cars away, who was going to steal the cars, who was going to get the guns, and how they were going to sell the guns or use the cards fraudulently.
What first tipped you off to this group's activity?
In 2004, so we do all kinds of things here with gang enforcement. In 2004, we responded, and there was I'm sorry. 2024. A few of these individuals involved in this case fled in a vehicle taken out of an aggravated robbery. They all ran into a house. Each one had a firearm. One was a fully automatic firearm. We thought maybe that warranted a bit more investigation, which my detective Tackett took and ran with. And the very next day, we found that Tanisha Jenkins was harboring all these stolen guns and helping fence the stolen guns. So it began a ways back, and that's when Tanisha Jenkins was initially indicted. We're trying to stop this cycle of, crimes, which sometimes turn into violence. And then when this program came about that we may speak of today, and they use this data to purely come up with an algorithm to say who is perpetuating the majority of these crimes, our individuals from 2024 were the same people that were predominantly committing these crimes in the city. So that's when we opened up, another investigation. It's a two-part. We're actively trying to proactively, get these guns off the streets and put some of these defendants in jail. But when you're talking about a 2-year time frame, and if they don't get held or they're out on the street, that's us pulling strings with the help of next gen and property crimes of everything we can solve historically. So you could probably keep this case going for another year and make it 600 or 700 charges. But we believe that we had enough predicating offenses. They worked their tails off to try to bring this case all together. And finally, last week, the engaging in a pattern of corrupt activity charges were filed.
Can't give names because these are juveniles, but are you able to talk about the different roles that people played? If some had a higher role than other, I see some 15-year-olds, 17-year-olds, and of course the adult here.
It sounds like I cannot.
What message do you hope this sends with this arrest?
Well, it's a message that we see and hear the issues that are plaguing the city of Columbus. Now, frequently we focus on violent crime, so property crime, at least in my opinion, snowballs, which even in this group, it turned out from, what a felony theft, which on its face, is a problem. But the recklessness of driving the cars and shooting the guns and having fully automatic machine guns every time that we, would do a search warrant, and then progressing to assaults of victims and witnesses, progressing to robberies, aggravated robberies, and at one point a shots fired. It's time to try to stop this cycle. And let them know that we are watching. It's not just property crime as a whole. It's something that's plaguing the city and oftentimes leads to violence.
Are you hoping it sends a message to other kids involved in this kind of behavior, like we're going to come after you?
A lot of juveniles are terribly brazen. And yes, between you and me, I hope it does send a message that you can't, for 2 years, commit crimes like this and especially start, moving into the violent realm of things without us understanding, knowing, and conducting an investigation.
Gang enforcement has only been around for a couple of years. It seems like this investigation took a couple of years. So what's it like for you guys working hard for 2 years on this case and now getting to this moment?
I'm super lucky. I have a fantastic chain of command and an awesome group of detectives under me. They're hitting search warrants, almost every week. They have a multitude of different investigations that they hold on their caseload. This was very important and was pushed through, again, by a few of ours tirelessly every day coming in and doing this, but again, very much by next-gen detectives and property crimes detectives that work together to make this happen. So yeah, I'm not sure. 2024 was our first contact I think we had with this group. This actual case and this investigation didn't completely start then. It was when we saw the data of this pattern of corrupt activity when it really clicked that this could fit this clause very much so, and just the amount of crime committed through the years that it was time to look into and engaging in a pattern of corrupt activity case.
The message to the kids, but what about the message to the community members? Because we get emails and calls into our newsroom almost on a daily basis about the frustration of getting their car broken into or stolen.
Terribly frustrating. That's why we're here, and that's the message we want to show. We hear you. We're here for violence. We're here for gangs, but we're also going to be here if there's groups like this that are stepping into that realm of violence, or just to help out Next Gen or other different units when they see problems like this that we can step in and assist with. But on the back half of your question, and I think what my chain of command already said, this has to be on the parents at a point too, right? You can't just knowingly allow this to happen and assist in fencing, selling guns, and possessing them for your kids, and think that not a whole lot's going to come out of it.
Working with other agencies, obviously these juveniles don't know the City of Columbus borders, so are you working with partner agencies?
Constantly. Almost every suburb gets hit just as hard as some of these places in Columbus. Some of these defendants have another 100 active cases. That's just not what we put on, and it's from different counties or previous property crimes cases. So yeah, we definitely have a partnership. I'll throw Officer Lutz, Officer Frazier. They're fantastic. That whole Next Gen crew. They're in constant conversation with trying to help solve some of these suburb crimes, because generally it's the same individuals.
Sorry, you mentioned there are other cases. Were some of these juveniles getting arrested, going into jail, being released, and within the next 24 hours out doing this activity in Columbus?
I'm allowed to answer that, yes.
Can you explain what you've heard about or found?
And that's just the problem. And we're happy to do this job. We do it because we want to make the city a better place and actually make a difference, right? So which is why you see the proactive search warrants, because we hope to stop that cycle of violence by putting these individuals in jail, seizing this stolen property and these fully automatic guns. I'm but a simple-minded city cop, so that my job ended there. But if they did not get held and they're right back out, that's when we're back pulling strings of the digital evidence, latent evidence, camera, the surveillance footage, and we're backtracking and trying to figure out what they did the next night, with this organized group.
So what can residents do to help you guys with situations like this?
So a lot of times what we would, come across is you might get 50 vehicles broken into a lot and you have 2 that report it. So first off, don't leave your firearms in your cars, please. That causes dangers in a whole different realm than just what we're talking about right here. Second, please report it, because we can actually solve these crimes. We do have a lot going on in the city, and we definitely focus on violent crimes, but I hope this shows you that we take all these complaints and all these concerns seriously in Columbus. So yeah, please just report it.
We brushed over this algorithm I see here, and as somebody with not a math-minded brain, I find it interesting that you guys are using this kind of formula to solve it. Would you be able to talk about that at all?
Then I will introduce Assistant Chief Bodker for that.
I'll give you a really high-level summary of, you've heard over the last year, you've heard a little bit about Next Gen Safety Initiative, or NGSI. So in December of 2024, we tasked our patrol leaders, specifically Lieutenant David Scarpiti, with creating a plan to address theft from autos as well as the cycle of violence. You heard Sergeant Gruber talk about the cycle of violence, which often starts with theft from autos. About 20% of our theft from autos, a firearm is stolen. That firearm is then used in shootings, robberies, other violent crimes. We knew as a leadership team that we needed to address this very intentionally. And so Lieutenant Scarpiti came forward with a plan kind of adopted from a program in Milwaukee called NOC, Networks of Criminality. And so what you see on the first slide over here is the foundation of our algorithm. We've formulated that into the Columbus model. So it's not exactly that algorithm, but that is the foundation for what we use. And essentially it comprises 3 things. So it comprises an individual's criminal history. How many times have they been arrested? It involves their crime frequency and recency. So how many times are they identified in the reports that we get as suspects, witnesses, victims in violent crimes, crimes involving firearms, crimes involving violence. And then lastly, their criminal network involvement. And this is where we are set apart from other agencies. So we involve social networking. And so the example I often give, if I've been involved in 40 thefts from autos, but Sergeant Fuqua's been involved in 1, I'm going to get a higher score. If the one time that Sergeant Fuqua was involved in a theft from auto, he was with me, then I am obviously an influencer. I'm influencing him. And so we track these social networks. We track the numbers of times that people are online showing their crimes. It won't surprise any of you that many of these crimes are videotaped. They're placed on social media. And so the social networking is an important component for us. Those lend to the scores. We've created an investigative tool for our patrol officers and detectives. Our Next Gen Safety Initiative team only has 6 people from patrol, operations, and an analyst. And the work that they've done over the last year is astounding. They regularly work with organized crime and gang unit to provide intelligence. And that is how many of these people came on the radar. There are others that are on the radar, and so this will not be the last. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also left out Lieutenant Scarpiti and Property Crimes Powers. They did a fantastic job as well.
No other questions? All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.